Good evening. It is 6 p.m. I'm calling to order the June 17th, 2025 Fountain City Council meeting. If able, please stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Thompson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rick.
Here.
Councilmember Hinton. Councilmember Geek. Councilmember Geek.
Yes, here.
Councilmember Hersberg.
Here.
Councilmember Duncan.
Present.
I have 6 members present, and Councilmember Hinton notified staff of his absence this evening.
Did she call you? No. Councilmember Estes is here too.
Oh, I apologize. Councilmember Estes.
Here.
I have 6 members present. Thank you.
All right, no problem. All righty. That takes us on to item 4, public to be heard. Citizens may address the council on items that are not on the agenda. Council may not be able to provide an immediate answer, but will direct staff to follow up. Out of respect for the council and others in attendance, please limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. And I do have 2 cards. First card I have is from Connie Weisenhunt about I think it says Fountain Place events. Okay, come on down, please. And go ahead and just state your name for the record.
Connie Weisenhunt, good evening. So I did not know that I would be blessed to share the event again because the next city council meeting would have been the 24th after our event. So I'm sharing that we are having the first day of summer kickoff event at the Fountain Plaza. And all of our shops will be participating this Friday from 10 to 8. So Book Archive will have different books on special every hour. The Vape Lounge, which is a new business to the plaza, will be having a starter kit on sale for $39.99. All-Star Pizzeria will be doing $1 off of their carryout, which takes it to $7.99 for a large and $6.99 for a medium, and they have great pizza. The Rooted Rose will be doing a $5 community yoga flow at noon with 10% off of their houseplants. Freshly, which is also new to the plaza, will have daily drink specials. The Come On In has their happy hour from 4 to 7. And By Grace Community Center will hold their food pantry from 10 to 2, and they're having a community craft and yard sale. So we're just inviting the community to come to the Fountain Plaza off of Dell Street. Don't forget that we're there. It's a kickoff to summer, and we invite you to come not only this Friday, but every day of the week. Thank you.
And best wishes to you guys on that. I think it's great you're doing that. Thank you. All righty, the second card I have is from Javinia. I think I got it right this time. All right, Downs. All righty, talk about Fountain Valley Cares events and announcements.
Thank you, Javinia Downs. And just wanted to let everybody know that we have a CPR class this Saturday at the Salvation Army from 9 to 1. You can sign up through our website, Fountain Valley Cares. Cost is $55. We also have our Sitter Society will not be meeting in July. The next meeting for them will be August 13th, also at the Salvation Army from 5:30 to 7:30 in the evening. And then if you're looking for full-time childcare or a date night sitter, contact us through our website. That's it.
Could you go ahead just for the record and state your website so everybody that's
So our
hearing
website
can-
is Fountain Valley Cares. So, .org.
Okay, fountainvalleycares.org.
Yes.
All spelled out?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you
Thank you.
very much. And I appreciate all you're doing with the babysitting stuff.
Thank
That's
you.
great.
It's exciting.
Yes. All right, thank you. All righty, that is all the cards that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and move on, close public to be heard, and move on to item 5.1, presentations. The first presentation we have tonight is a donation to the Park and Recreation from Fountain Up, and I have Celine McGart. If you could come down to push the center button on the microphone.
Mayor Thompson, my name is Heidi McAllister, and I'm part of, Celine couldn't be here tonight, and I'm part of the group. This is part of our committee here. On May 31st, Fountain Up proudly hosted our 3rd annual Bark in the Park event at Metcalf Park. We're now in our 5th year of bringing community-centered events to the city, and this year's Bark in the Park focused on raising funds to support improvements to the Metcalf Park Dog Park. Thanks to the incredible support of our community, we welcomed approximately 150 participants and their furry companions. along with more than 15 local vendors. We also helped connect a vendor with the Parks Department to sponsor and adopt the park, a partnership that will have a lasting impact. We are proud to present a donation check of $2,000 to the Parks Department, which will go directly towards enhancing the dog park for the enjoyment of all. Thank you to everyone who came out and supported and made this event possible.
All right, we have Mr. Gordy McCormick, who's the head of our Parks Department, down to collect that check. Thank you. Gordy, I'd love to hear, if you could come back later and let us know what that's going to be used for.
Yes, I will.
Thank you very much. And thank you for all your hard work. Oh. All right, again, thank you, everyone, for that donation. I was really sad to miss the event this year, but you didn't all want me around that day. I would have given you whatever that awful stuff was, so, yes. All right, then we have Harmony Williams going to talk to us about the Children's Entrepreneur Market. I've been seeing that on Facebook and not really knowing what it was, so I'm really glad you're going to be here.
Good, thank you. Well, like she said, I'm Harmony Williams, and I'm with the Children's Entrepreneur Market. I'm the Colorado Springs Market Manager, and that means that I coordinate things probably in about a 50-mile radius around Colorado Springs. So Woodland Park, Pueblo, Castle Rock, and then, of course, you guys, this is your first event here in Fountain. We have a kids market next Saturday, June 28th at Fountain Mesa Park, and that's going to be during youth soccer game day that's happening there at the park. I'll give you a few details. We have a slide presentation. Are we ready for that?
IT?
Yes. Yeah, it's
I
in the
don't.
presentations folder, Chris.
I'll continue talking so I don't waste any time. I just want to tell you what your Fountain Park Recs, you guys are incredible. I contacted Kimberly April 23rd and sent her an email, and she set up a meeting, and Junie was there as well, and quite a few, Joni, I'm sorry. She was there as well, and a lot of the Parks and Recs people were there, and it was fantastic to see how quickly that you guys moved. Within a week, we had it up on the registration up on our website, and I think that's a record for anybody that I've worked it with, especially when we're talking about city government type things. All right, I just wanted to go ahead and share a little bit about what we do, our mission. If we can do the next slide. This is the entrepreneur market. These are the kids that attend. I have some pictures at the end that show you kids that are from our actual area. Our mission is to develop vibrant and resourceful children through entrepreneurship and creative play. So if most of you have been parents or grandparents at some point, and you know that little kids love to pretend. So they pretend being librarians, and they pretend grocery store, and they pretend lemonade stand and market stands. And this is a way that we take the pretend and we step away from that and we give them a real life experience. And so it's a really great thing that they can have real world experience instead of just pretend play. The next slide is just how we work. And that is that we have managers that look for events in different cities. So I have certain requirements on me when I'm looking for an event. It has to have at least 500 people for foot traffic. We want these kids to have adults walking by them and purchasing. There's a lot of power involved. If they all get together and do something, then just put a lemonade stand out on their front lawn. They're not going to have very many people pass them by. So we're working anywhere from events that are 500 to, I'm currently working an event with about 10,000. So we're trying to give them all different kinds of experiences. In order for me to be in a city, there has to be a certain population, and Fountain meets that, so that's easy for me. And normally I have to have 50 booths is how much I have to have as far as space requirements. Not always do we fill all those booths, but we want to make sure that we can give a big impact. It's my job as a manager to have relationships with cities and event production teams, and we provide insurance and staff at events, so there is no setup for the person who is allowing us to come in to our event or to their event. We always are attaching to other events. You won't ever see me pop up a market that just, I rented a parking lot and popped it up. That's not the way it works. We're always attaching to something that's going to pull foot traffic for the kids. Next slide is registration. The kids are required to be anywhere from 5 to 17. It's $25 for each booth, and that includes a t-shirt and a free book that's given to them, as well as a curriculum that they can have so that their parents can help teach them. And this gives them a 10 by 10 space. Next is just learning about why teach entrepreneurship. I think most of the people in this room can understand how important that is for our kids to have such a life skill. And I just wanted to point out to you all that kids learn best when each market that we have is not the same. I currently have 13 markets in this area, hoping to have a total of 16 for this year. And so if every market was at a farmer's market, or if every market that I attached to was very large, the kids don't get the diversity to see what the different patrons bring to different events. And so it's really important that we are able to do smaller markets and larger markets as well. I'm going to go ahead and move to the next one, and that is just that we give the parents resources. They get a YouTube series on how to prepare for their kids for the market and to help get them set up. They get an entrepreneurship curriculum that gets emailed to them. That's about a $60 curriculum that if you purchased it online. And they also can sign up to receive a newsletter with tips. One of the things, I know that we're giving parent resources, one of the things that's really important about our market is that parents are asked to sit back and let the kids run the booth. So once they help the kids get set up and they've helped them do everything, they're supposed to sit back. We ask them to read a book. We ask them to turn around and face the other direction so that adults don't talk to them, but they engage with the kids. I even just a couple markets ago had a dad brought a recliner, like one of those little zero gravity, and he fell asleep and just totally let his kids run it. Of course, the children are allowed to ask for help from their parents if they need it. The parent is required to help the child with the problem and then ask the child to re-engage. So that's what we're really working towards. Just a quick note, I won't spend very much time on the next slide. Business scholarships, we give out scholarships to kids the month of August. We ask the kids, we let them know that it's time that they can put in for a scholarship. And last year, our organization nationwide gave $75,000 to kids to help their businesses. So normally they have to fill out information that says what they're going to use the money for. A lot of times it's for equipment for something for their business or a canopy or whatever. But I just wanted you to know that we are a nonprofit and we're trying to turn around and pump any money back into these kids that we possibly can. The next slide is just about our national expansion. By the end of 2025, we will be in 44 states. We're currently in 32. Those numbers could have changed in the last month or two because we're just hiring like crazy across the country. The reason that I point out our nationwide expansion is mainly because we have a set of rules and guidelines that pretty much fits every city and every organization across the country. Few things that I just wanted to tell you because I know that you might have questions. We carry out all trash. The families are required to have weights on their canopies and not drive stakes into the ground. There's no bartering allowed so that parents don't feel that their children were taken advantage of. Kids with special needs get all the accommodations. We let parents help them in any way. They do not have an age requirement. If we have someone with special needs who wants to join, we let them join. If their parents are going to help them, that's no problem at all. And we don't allow for fundraisers. This last slide is just how you guys can get involved. I'm going to only focus on two things, and that is that we need venues, and you guys are a venue for us. So you already have given us that space. And we also are coming into your fall festival, the Labor Day Fall Festival. We will be there as well. So we have two different events with you this year, and we really, really appreciate it. Another way that we need your help is just to help market to the city. So we are trying to make sure that your kids in Fountain, we don't mind if a few Colorado Spring kids come over, but we want your Fountain kids to be the ones that are served. So we're trying to market here. We pay for marketing on Facebook. I work and market into different groups on Facebook that are specific to Fountain. And so tell your kids, tell your grandkids, and then I'll just show you a few pictures that are at the end here to show you what the market looks like. So this is just a general setup. This is just a drone photo of one of our markets. And as you can see, this is about 50 booths here, maybe closer to 60 as I'm looking at it real quickly. But this is what it looks like. We typically take a large area of space, but we always tell people space is the only thing that we need. And then the next pictures are just a few pictures of local kids. These are my kids. And they go to the market and they try to sell and have a lot of fun. The next one this was at a Touch a Truck event that we had here at the Norris Penrose Event Center. And so this is a group of local kids, and the next one is as well. This was at the Black Forest Easter egg hunt. So there are kids that are really enthusiastic and trying really hard, and I just wanted you to see a few pictures of the local kids that are doing this event. Any questions?
Are the items handmade by the kids or baked or whatever, or can they just order stuff and just sell? You don't care?
It's a free-for-all. We want
Okay.
them to experience what works. So there are typically a lot of handmade items because the kids figure out quickly that that's what sells. If you're just setting up to sell chips and pop, you're not going to have as high of sales. So this is what we let them figure out. We do require like no raw meat to be sold. That's one of the things which the whole point is we're trying to make sure the kids are involved in making it. But yeah, there's not a bunch of requirements we want them to be able to figure out what they're going to do.
I think it's exciting. And I know one of my kids would have jumped all over this. But
Oh, I love that. Wow, maybe you can think of somebody else. The last thing I will say is just, because we're dealing with government here, is that the kids are protected by a law that Governor Polis put into place in 2019 called the Lemonade Stand Law, and this allows them to run a business with no permits or fees or any requirements on them as long as their business is under 84 days. So this is how we can get around, we can just let the kids have a free market, and we don't have to be trying to ensure that they have permits and licenses.
I think in Fountain, when we have seen a police officer at a lemonade stand, they're usually buying it out.
Yep, that's
So,
what we want.
yeah,
Oh, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate each one of you.
Thank you very much. I think it's exciting, and I look forward to this coming back again. So thank you very much. All right, Police Department update. Chief Christiani.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, staff members in the room, and citizens. Tonight's my 2025 Police Department update. So, Chris, are you able to run the slides for me? Copy that. This is really loud also. I'll try to back that up. So let's get into it. Go ahead and next slide, please. So as we're always concerned about staffing, and that's one of our top priorities for the department. So where we're sitting right now is I've got 63 officers with 4 positions open. We're hoping to get all those filled by the end of 2025. We're constantly recruiting, constantly looking, and trying to come up with different options. But, you know, we gain ground, we lose ground, we gain ground, we lose ground. So it's kind of this battle that we're always fighting. Hopefully someday I'll get to fully staffed, but that's a moving target. Kind of the future staffing goal is what we're looking at is I really need a patrol lieutenant to work the night shift. Currently right now, I have 2 patrol lieutenants. So we want them to touch all 3 shifts that we have. So they're working days, swings, and nights, but I don't have any dedicated lieutenant working after probably midnight at the latest. And I'm looking for coverage to that midnight to 6 a.m., some critical times in the city that we don't currently have coverage for that. So that's a future staffing goal. They'll have modified hours as well. I also want to be able to, around 2027, get what's called a relief squad, is what I know it as, where right now, for example, the day shift only has 4 officers that are working, along with a traffic officer and a beacon. But those 4 officers, they're the only 4 officers working from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's a lot. It's a long time to really not have anybody else come in for relief. And so those officers are responsible for that full 10 hours. And so I'm looking to have another set of 2 teams of 2 officers coming in, say 10 o'clock and working till 8 o'clock at night. And so we're going to try to stagger those, and these are things that we're going to be looking into for 2027. Along with that, that'll require additional civilian personnel to support the additional workload if we are able to get those officers hired. But like I've told council before, I can't get to fully staffed right now, so I really have a hard time evaluating the department if I can't get to fully staffed. I'm not going to turn around and ask you for 4 more officers if I can't get to the 67 I need to get to anyway. So that's kind of to be continued, but that's just kind of my future plan. And I suppose if we have any questions pertaining to a particular slide, rather than at the end, go ahead and fire away, or we can wait till the end. Next slide is some of our statistics. And there's one slide that I didn't put in here, but it's more just some numbers that I'll read to you. So some notable stats. On the right side there, you have what we call Part 1 crimes or Part A crimes. Those are all your serious offenses, and so you can kind of look at the numbers for yourself. We don't see anything that's outstanding to us, that's critical, that's super important, that's not standard what we see all the time. Some of those numbers are concerning, obviously. 56 sexual assaults in 2024, but those are adults and children. So those are a whole bunch of different factors that go into that, and these aren't necessarily sexual assaults these are all felonies that are convictions or at least charged. Below that are the Part B crimes, and those vary from state to state, so while they're different in some states, the ones on top are all the felony crimes, all the ones on the bottom are, some can be felonies, but also misdemeanor crimes. And so those vary from state to state, so you'll see different crimes listed on different Part B crimes. Any questions on those numbers right there on the right?
I want to clarify. When you have July, say, this is the top line, sex assault, July, you had 4 in 2024 and 56 for the year total.
Yes.
We haven't had 16 sexual assaults in July this year. That's the year total to this point. I just want to clarify.
You are correct. Yeah, that's a little deceiving in the number. Yes, that is year to date. So yes, all the numbers in 2025 are year to date. We have not had 16 in July. Yes.
Okay, all right. Just
Thank
want
you,
to
Mayor.
clarify. For everything. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, these are all year to date on the right
Because
side.
I'm like
Yes,
looking
yes,
at
yes,
that,
yes.
like that.
Was
looks-
that your question too? Yes. Your note? Yes. Very observant. On the left, you have the traffic citations and the traffic tickets. So in 2024, we wrote nearly 5,000 tickets, and we had 3 traffic fatalities. In 2025, we've written almost 2,400 traffic tickets, and knock on wood, no fatalities so far. So we're right on pace, probably a little bit ahead for traffic tickets, and we know summertime, we're gonna get after it a little bit more with a lot of the DUI investigations and whatnot, so we know those numbers are gonna go up. Calls for service in 2024, we had right close to 30,000, and year-to-date 2025, we're at 10,009. We also know those numbers are gonna start increasing for the summertime, so we're right on pace for 2024. What I don't have a slide for is traffic crashes, but I do have numbers here. We have a system called Carfax for police, and that's how citizens now, that's how we now document our traffic accident reports through Carfax. It's a much more efficient way to document traffic accidents for citizens. It gets the insurance taken care of, and it's all the paperwork that we don't have to do anymore. So in year to date, so now from January 24 till now, we've had 619 reportable accidents of the 1,259 that were called into the dispatch center. Of those 619 reports that we took, 45 of those were alcohol related, and 12 of those were alcohol where there's an injury. So a total of 57 of the 619 that had an alcohol component. 45 is a lot, but it's actually a pretty low number considering. Questions on statistics before I move on? Next slide, please.
Just a clarification, I know last weekend there was a fatality on I-25.
Correct.
So the CDOT or State Patrol would be reporting that even if our officers responded to it.
Yes.
They're the reporting agency, so we wouldn't see that in our reports.
Correct, we won't see that, from the 135 all the way down to the 122, 119, that's all considered Fountain, but because we don't thankfully have the freeway, we would not get those stats.
Okay, thank you.
As do we any county accident that's a fatal that we respond to also.
Right.
Those
But
are not
the
shown in
fire
these numbers.
department might report it as.
They may.
Because they responded and.
They
were-
definitely would report it as
Okay.
however they report, they definitely
Yeah.
would, because they'd be the only fire agency to respond.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Next slide is Behavioral Health Connection. So we've had a lot of questions come out throughout the year of kind of lower numbers, higher numbers, and I think you'll see here that when we boil it all down, we're kind of right on pace. So January, so in 2024, we had 289 patients that were provided services. 163 of those were treated in place and provided referrals through the community. And 77 we actually transported for further evaluations and medical treatment. In 2024, we released back to service 29 of the 36 fire personnel, 26 of the 48 EMS personnel, and 219 out of 478 officers were released back into service because of the Beacon unit. So almost 50% of the officers that responded to the Beacon calls in ’24 were sent back to service once Beacon got there and said, we're good. I think those are very good numbers. 2025,
Just for clarification for people listening, that my Beacon officer is a co-responder team
yes, ma'am.
with a social worker, and then that officer takes special training also.
They do. They're CIT trained, critical incident training. We hand select the officers because of how they operate and how they deal with the public. Obviously, different officers do things differently. So our 2 Beacon units, we have 2 in Fountain, and it is a clinician that is sitting right seated to the officer all day, every day. And they respond to mental health calls, whether they're in county or whether they're in Fountain. We help the southern districts of county, and we are servicing all of Fountain just as county Beacon units come down here. And we all kind of exchange, because we're all seeing the same people from the same places.
So when you say an officer's released back, the initial officer that responds is just a regular officer, and he's going to clear the scene and make sure everything's safe, and then the Beacon team will come in, and that responding officer goes back
Correct.
to his patrol.
In general, that's correct. Usually, these are 2 officer responses when we get a suicidal check to welfare or a person having a psychological event. It'll be a 2 officer response, and so once Beacon gets there and Beacon calls it safe for them, that leaves 1 officer on scene with the clinician, and then that backup officers, we call them, they go back into service and go back to their business. So, yes. 2025 year-to-date, we've had 121 patients seen so far, 56 treated with safety plans and provided with resources, 38 transported for further evaluation. And in 2025 so far, we have, you can see the numbers there on the bottom right, and 99 out of 218 officers returned to service. So again, right on pace with almost 50% of the officers going back into service.
And-
So Beacon is still very, very valuable and will always be valuable.
Councilmember Rick?
Sir.
Yes. I just want to point out for everybody on the 2024 slide, arrested due to warrants is 2%, stabilized in place with citation is approximately 2%, and arrested on new charges is roughly 2%. So 94% of the people who Beacon contacted did not go to jail. They got treatment, they got help, or something other than jail. So this
Right.
is a good program that helps us keep people out of jail.
Absolutely. And these are based on my previous time in law enforcement as a patrol officer. You know, these are people that we probably would charge because we didn't know what else to do. So we charged them, put them in jail. The jails don't have proper mental health care. And so it was just this vicious circle. And so this program really highlights what you just said, Councilmember Rick, is it's putting in people in jail that don't really need to be there. Maybe they have committed a small level crime, but jail's not going to help them. And so this is really a way that we avoid that. And yeah, and I'm sorry, Chris, I didn't say next slide for 2025, but our numbers are right close to the same, and we're just, right now, we've had 1 person arrested. Of the 121 people we contacted, 1 was arrested. Any other questions on Beacon? Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, we have a citizen question.
Excuse me, just a second. We don't normally take citizen questions during a presentation. I would be happy at the end to open it up, though, if we do have a couple people with questions. So let's just let them go ahead and get through it, okay?
Thank you, Mayor. Next slide is kind of highlights and upcoming events. So as always, when the SROs finish up school, they jump out into patrol, and so that plops 11 officers into patrol, which they are working right now. That includes sergeants, lieutenants, supervisors, and regular patrol officers, but they're all supplementing patrol, covering us for the busy times in the summer, so it's super important for those SROs to get out there. This year, we just finished up our round of promotions, so we promoted 1 commander, 1 SRO lieutenant, patrol sergeant, and an SRO sergeant just yesterday, and 2 patrol corporals. So that's always good news when we can promote within and have leaders coming up the ranks. As you all know, we've implemented the Flock system. We're getting super close to being full implementation on that. 5 more cameras just went live today, so we are doing very well. And just a real quick note on the Flock. Just want it to be known, and I'm going to keep reiterating these facts. They are license plate readers only. They do read data from the back of a car, so they will recognize a bumper sticker or something that identifies the vehicle. But they are license plate reading cameras that are synced with the national database of stolen vehicles. Our officers get a text message that a stolen vehicle has entered your jurisdiction, and then we go try to find that stolen vehicle. I spoke with Flock yesterday, and they do not release data. They don't release anything. We are the owners of the data. I say who I share the data with, and it's always another law enforcement agency, and when I say data, I'm talking about the vehicle information. So I happen to connect with Scottsdale, Arizona, my old department, and if for some reason a car from Scottsdale traveled to Fountain, they would ask to see my cameras, and I would permit them to see my cameras and see if their stolen car is on my camera, and vice versa. So there is no personal identifying data, there is no vehicle registration data that Flock shares. It's only through law enforcement databases that we would normally look up anyway. Continuing on with our kind of important things that have happened this year or are happening, we're replacing all of our duty pistols with red dot optics. This is kind of a big deal because it's really best practice nationally what all departments are going to. We currently don't have the optics on our guns, but this is going to provide a much safer system for our officers if and when, unfortunately, they have to use their firearm. But we're in the process of doing that right now, so all officers by the end of 2025 will have all this capability. And the last bullet point there, K9 Mako donated to El Paso County Sheriff's Office for continued regional support. 2 of our officers, Brett Ryder and Paige Ryder, decided to move to Texas, and they've moved their whole family down to Texas, so they have obviously left the department. Brett was one of our K9 officers. We don't have, a K9 officer is a pretty highly trained, specially, an officer that needs to have some experience, a lot of experience, before we're going to put a dog in their hands. And the liabilities that go with that. So we are such a young department right now that I didn't feel comfortable, along with my staff, we discussed, we didn't feel comfortable in putting Mako with another handler. Usually when a dog changes handlers, you better have a real solid handler that can handle that change, because the dog's going to do what the dog's going to do. So we elected to, because it was paid for by regional funds, the city of Fountain, the Fountain citizens' tax dollars did not pay for this dog. This dog was paid for by seizure money. We put it out to the region, and the El Paso County Sheriff's Office was very happy to take the dog. They've put him through the rigors, the tests, and he's good to go, and they're super happy that they got to keep the dog working, and he will continue to come down to Fountain and help us when we need dog support. We do still have 1 dual-purpose dog, so we're not without, but this is an important asset that will remain in the region. You can see the list of upcoming events there. Pretty standard, all the things we do and all the things that we provide officers for security. Any questions on the highlights slide?
Nope, go ahead.
Very good. Next slide. Last slide is our community engagement slide. And so these are all things that we do that aren't city affiliated or are not city sponsored. This is just certainly not a comprehensive list of everything we do, but these are some of the highlights. So the monthly soup kitchen at the Methodist Church, that's been ongoing forever and ever. Thank you to Commander Racine for keeping that going and really putting the work behind that. Fountain North Pole with District 8 used to be formerly known as Blue Santa, now Fountain's North Pole. And District 8 has really stepped up and really helps us with that. I would say we help them with what they do. So 31 Hulk responses throughout the region, and that can vary from support to dispatchers to schools to, as an example, last week, some of you may have heard about the traffic fatality on the 115 that involved a District 8 student. She was only 7 or 8 years old. And we went on to Fort Carson, onto the elementary school, and assisted those teachers with their grief, and we brought Hulk. And as always, Hulk provides an unbelievable service. Super sad deal, but bringing Hulk up there to let those teachers pet him and love on him is just amazing, and Lieutenant Marshall runs that program, and she does a great job. Regional Drive Smart presentations at local high schools, Lieutenant Marshall also does that. She's got a lot of life experience and tells her life story about a tragedy that happened in her family, and so she goes throughout the high schools in all over the region and provides that training. Night to Shine with Tim Tebow, Pikes Peak Christian Church. That is an event where children with disabilities, autism, any disability that you can name, not only teenagers, but adults that never had a chance to go to a prom, never had a chance to enjoy a high school dance or whatever, get to do that on this program. And several of our officers go and participate in that. And they just have a great time, dance with everybody, and it's just a really good time. I've highlighted Crisis Aid Human Trafficking Victim Assistance. This is only in Fountain. I think I've talked about Crisis Aid here before with you all. Those of you that don't know or haven't heard of that, Crisis Aid is a entity that is eventually going to build a house here in this region for victims of human trafficking. Mostly that's female victims, but male victims are also part of human trafficking. And so what they have found is if we don't provide immediate assistance for that, those trafficking victims get right back into it. And so now this Crisis Aid provides us immediate assistance when we have those operations that we run. And unfortunately, human trafficking has brought itself and will continue to bring itself to Fountain, as it does all communities in this country. And this is a great entity to, at no cost to the citizens, Crisis Aid funds, they are self-funded. They have an office in our building, and it is no cost to anybody, but they're a fantastic resource for us. We continue to do safety consultations for businesses, schools, and churches, free to the public, free to anybody that asks us to come do a safety consultation. I highlight the Fountain PD Explorer program. While that's a well-known program, the amount of community work they do and events they attend and staff and help us with security and help us with traffic control. And those kids, I say kids, young adults, really do great work and have tremendous amount of volunteer hours and provide us the ability to be a little more flexible with our officers. National Read Across America with District 8, we do that every year, and of course Autism Night Out. Again, not a comprehensive list, but just some of the highlights of the things we do. So with that said, I think I went over my 10 minutes, but does anybody have any questions?
All right, any questions from anybody up here first? Okay, if you have a question in the audience, please feel free to come down. We'll spend about 5 minutes taking some questions. And if there's a particular slide you want them to go to, just say back up till they get to the slide that you want your question on.
I just had.
Could you state your name for the record,
Fran
please?
Carrick. My question is, and I've had this for a while, on the Beacon program, how often would you say you had to go back to the same address or the same
Yeah, that's a
issue?
great question. I don't know if my stats provide me with that data. Certainly, I will find that out for you. I would say there is a lot of repeat customers, a lot of repeat clients that we do go back on. To give you a number tonight, I wouldn't be able to do that. But in these numbers will be a lot of repeats. Although we do see a decrease, once their services are provided and the services continue and continue month after month after month, we do see less recidivism, and we don't end up going back to a lot of the houses over and over and over and over again. We may go back 1 or 2 times, because they obviously get reintroduced back to the home, whether it's an adult or child, and we do have return visits, but it's not as much as you would think.
And the same process would be followed if you went Tuesday night and they called you back next Wednesday, that same procedure would be followed. You would send the Beacon
Absolutely.
team.
Yeah. And so what happens is, Fran, is the Beacon clinicians develop somewhat of a relationship with these clients. And they get to know them and they get to know their family and they're like, okay, so this didn't work the first time, we're gonna try different resources. You know, when we say transported for further evaluation, that's usually a psychological hold that is put on them for the 72 hours. They go see a doctor, the doctor clears them or doesn't, and then they come back to whatever situation they were in, or they're placed in a different situation. There's so many different scenarios, but the process does repeat itself over and over again. No, but it's not like starting from ground zero. They've already got a good baseline to what they're working with. Because it's
see.
the clinician, usually the same clinician will go back.
I'm sure my 5 minutes are close, but could you tell me if assaults and sex crimes are up according to this time in 25 from 24?
I'm gonna try to use my Montana math here.
All right? I'll use my Texas brain.
I don't think those crimes that you talked about are going to be up. So far year to date, we have 56 assaults, and we had 195 in 2024. So my math says
Okay,
that's lower.
yeah.
Sex assaults, we had 56 in 2024, and we've had 16 so far. My Montana math says we're gonna be lower.
Okay, good.
What I forgot to mention on the crime stats was the drug and weapon offenses are definitely going to be higher this year. Why? Because when we recover a stolen vehicle from Flock, we are going into those cars and finding guns and drugs. They're subsequently being charged for not only the vehicle theft, but the guns and the drugs. And so that is, you're gonna see, I think Lisa and I figured out almost a 300% increase in those two charges, but that's the reason why. Because we're recovering all of those things. So they're not being used, the guns and drugs aren't being used against a victim per se, but they are being recovered, so we're charging with those crimes. That's why those numbers are gonna be higher.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Please come down and state your name for the record.
Connie Weisenhunt. I just want to take a minute and thank you guys for all of your hard work, and we see where you kind of position yourself to kind of like protect us. So thank you for everything that you and your team do. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Connie.
We talk about hiring and that kind of thing, but can you talk about what the age requirement is and where they can apply?
Sure.
For those listening who would like to follow in your footsteps? And then my last question is, what are your plans to the community for the 4th of July?
Very good. Two good questions. First question is you have to be 21 years old. We will get you, if we can, if we determine you're eligible, we'll get you into a police academy. We only do 1 or 2 of these a year, but we'll get you into an academy at 20. As long as when you graduate and you're 21 years old, you can then be legally certified in the state of Colorado to be an officer. Of course, you have to have a clean background, and we go through all the rigors. There's lots of things in the testing process, but 21 years old is the age requirement. There really is no top end, so if you're 50 years old and want to be a cop and can pass all the tests, come on down. Second question, what are we doing for the 4th of July? Well, I personally will be out there on this 4th of July, along with several of my officers. We are going to basically do what we have been doing. We're going to monitor. We are going to probably take some photographs of folks' houses who are shooting off illegal fireworks because we know it's going to be happening. We are going to start preaching about nothing that leaves the ground is legal, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to talk about all the rules, and people are still going to do it. I'm going to be out there. I'm going to have some ride-alongs with me that night, some citizens that are going to be riding out there. We're going to be keeping receipts, and we're going to go issue tickets probably later to those folks, because what we found is if we issue tickets that night, it causes a neighborhood uproar, bottle rockets are thrown at police cars. I'm not willing to do that to my officers, so we will give them a ticket at a later time once we determine, because the homeowner is going to get the ticket. Maybe not the person firing off the firework, but if it's in your driveway, you're getting the ticket. So that's our plan. It's a very brief plan, but that's the plan, because we know it's going to be like it always is on the 4th of July. We're going to go to one neighborhood, and they're going to be over here. It's going to be this cat and mouse game. So we're going to do our best. We're going to not necessarily upstaff it, but I've got at least 10 officers working that night, so we'll see how it goes, along with all the other calls. But I'm going to be out there myself, and I'm going to see what's going to happen. I'm going to see how it goes. I'm going to make some contact with some citizens myself. Okay. Thanks, Connie.
Come down and state your name for the record, please.
Steve Arce. Sir, First, let me also follow up with, there was a comment made a couple of meetings ago. Somebody made a comment regarding how horrible things were with crime, et cetera, and I talked with you afterwards, and I think that comment needs to be on the record as well. And that is this: I spend far more time walking around at night, going to the store, going to the park, et cetera, and I have never felt safer. And I am ashamed to say that sometimes I even forget to lock my door. So I do appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
On your stats, I do have a question, and being kind of greedy and asking this, but, and I know sometimes it's challenging to get these based on things, but do you record numbers or track numbers, for instance, on your assaults? How much of that occurs between intimate partners?
We do. Intimate partner violence is a tracked stat. So these stats, Mr. Arce, are stats that are reported to the FBI and they're required. I'm looking to my expert. We do track intimate partner stats. I just don't know where or how we do that.
Commander Racine, Fountain City. They're going to be tracked in our in-house system because it's going to have a DV, domestic violence attachment to it.
Right.
So those can be pulled separately. This is the national incident-based reporting that we have to report to the state by the 7th of every month, and then that gets reported to the FBI.
Okay.
And that's why I explained earlier to the lady over here is that July is the fiscal for the state.
Right.
That's why it pops up there in the reporting.
Could we get those at a later date, or could I get those?
Yeah, I will. Do you have my email, sir?
Yes, I do.
Okay, send me an email.
On speed dial.
Send me an email.
Okay.
I'll send him an email and we'll get
Okay.
you those numbers.
And along those lines, we also track, for instance, how many crimes involve service members. 'Cause have
We
a
do.
large-
That is a federal requirement.
Okay,
That is not a federal requirement.
it's not a federal requirement, but we do it.
We used to track the number through our dispatch center when it is somebody that is a service member.
Right,
We quit doing that probably 2 years ago because of the reporting and Fort Carson not needing that.
Okay.
But there
I'm
is,
just curious.
anytime that we do arrest a service member,
Right.
obviously Fort Carson's notified and/or they're transported to the custody of their unit.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Sometimes I've forgotten more than I now know, but that's why I have my experts in the back of the room.
All right, so if anybody goes home and digests this and think of it, can you state your email, please, that they
Sure.
can email you?
Absolutely. It is M. Christiani, that's MCRISTIANI, @fountainpd.com.
And Fountain all spelled out, yep.
Yes, and Mayor Council, if there is something here that is of no interest to you, please let me know, or something that you don't see here that you want to know about, or any citizen, please let me know, and we'll get that in the next update.
Okay. Is there any last chance for anybody up here? Nope. Okay. All right, thank you very much. That takes us on to the next item, item 5.2, Board Commissions and Committee Appointments. There are none tonight. Item 6, Correspondence, Comments, and Ex Officio Reports. Mr. Trainer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. I wanted to make sure I just spent a couple minutes talking about something that we're going to be triggering here fairly quickly. In the beginning of July, July 1st, we will be going live with a new website. It'll still be at currently, well, there'll be a new fountaincolorado.gov address, but anyone who uses the old address will be able to access it as well. It'll alias straight to the new website. That is going to be significantly, for those who have used our website, this new one's going to be significantly easier, much shallower, many fewer clicks to get to important information, whatever that is, whether it's utility payments or, you're looking for information about the city council or whatever that information may be. Much simpler, cleaner, ADA accessible. It's required by legislation now. So there's a number of great improvements. Again, that'll be going live July 1st. We've been testing out a chatbot search engine for that, which has been incredibly great, getting really good feedback on that as well. So I just want to make sure that people are aware that that's coming up, and July 1st we'll be going live with it. Thank you, Mayor.
Christie? No, Chief? Okay. City Clerk?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, IT? Nothing. Okay, Councilmember Rick?
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Geek?
Yes, I have two things. I just wanted to say we've heard, discussions about the Planning Commission and how hard it is to get things done. And I had a personal reason to have to go through planning. And I couldn't have asked for a more patient, understanding, and kind person to deal with than Christy. So I wanted to say kudos to you. Because I was not ready and I couldn't do what I needed to do. So she was very helpful. The second, I just wanted to say thank you for the flowers that were sent last week. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Estes.
Just a quick happy birthday to the United States, because we won't be back before July 4th. This will be the 249th birthday, so next year's the big 250th. So get out there and celebrate with all our citizens.
Okay. Councilmember Hertzberg.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I just want to mention that I attended the Combat Aviation Brigade Change of Command, welcoming new Colonel Gallagher to Fort Carson. And I did attend a Bark in the Park, and it was a very nice event. I attend a lot of events across the country. That's kind of what I do. It was very well organized. People were helpful, friendly, and it was a lot of fun. So just kudos to those folks, and thank you.
Councilmember Duncan.
Thank you. On June 15, it was World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And just to let you know that Governor Jared Polis has signed a bipartisan bill, and the bill is House Bill 251184, into law that helps seniors get the care that they need before they enter a care facility. Under HB 251184, seniors can receive health care in their homes. They can join social activities and stay engaged, and get support for making appointments and other life management tasks. So Colorado is facing a serious shortage of life care facility beds here, and this new law provides another option for seniors to get the care that they need. One other bill that's come out, I don't know if you know of Amanda Lewis. She was the former MTV VJ and talk show host, and she died at 52 from breast cancer. There are two bills that save Coloradans money that were signed this year, and that's Senate Bill 25118 and Senate Bill 25296. And these bills ensure that breast cancer screenings are free and reduce the cost of prenatal visits, barriers to care for disproportionate impact on women and of color and low-income families. So those are Senate Bills 25118 and Senate Bill 25296. One more thing is that we know that this weekend, Juneteenth is coming up, and it is now a state holiday. There are a lot of events that will be going on starting on Thursday. So there are a lot of events all the way through the weekend. We know that in Colorado Springs, they're having a 3-day event. There's an event happening all over the city. So please check one of those events out, and let's celebrate Juneteenth. One other reminder is about the Summer Zero Fair. It's a statewide initiative from June through August 31st, and Fountain is participating in that. We don't have to pay. It's paid for by the Colorado Energy Office. All ages and all abilities. You don't have to come here and get a ticket to ride the bus. We can just get on. You can visit the transit landing page to get your route at www.fountaincolorado.org. Is that still the same? Okay. And also, schools are providing free summer meals, breakfast and lunch, so please check around your area for schools that are doing that. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, a lot of changes going on at Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments, and I wrote a lot of stuff down and checked with Scott on a lot of them and how they're going to affect us on different things. If you got a government grant, spend it now rather than later, because it may not be there later. Restoration Church, I want to give them a shout out. They had a great Father's Day car show. Oh my goodness, they must have had 50, 60 plus cars there, and they were giving out prizes and stuff. So hats off to them for making a fun event for the community and for the community on that. The Southmore project, the river part of it, is almost complete. not the road, we're not going to talk about the road yet, but the river part of it. And if you are interested in that, on the 30th, June 30th at 10 a.m., they're having a ribbon cutting ceremony, and you meet kind of by where Camping World is, off of Bandley there. So it's going to be crowded to park, so are we working on a shuttle thing, Scott? Is that going to work? So park kind of where the name of the Fountainhead, where the sign is. And if you park down that way, because it's really super crowded by the end of the cul-de-sac, we'll have a city shuttle running back and forth, so you don't have to walk that, probably almost close to half a mile down to where the
And
cul-de-sac
it'll be
is.
going, just circulating, and so it'll pick people up along the way as well if they parked a little closer.
Right, so you might want to come a little bit early for that, but it's exciting to see that part of the riverbank being stabilized. And hopefully we'll get a good rain this summer to check it out, make sure it all holds and works right, Ben? Ben has, man, hats off to Ben. He has been, and his team, you guys have been working great on that, so thank you very much. And I look for, and it's amazing that if you go up by where American Legion is and park and look over the edge there, it is just amazing, the amount of work that has gone on and dirt that has been moved and everything. It's, you think you see it on paper and you think you know what they're gonna do. You don't have a clue. Okay, all righty. So thank you for that. Okay. That takes us to the next item, consent agenda. All items listed under consent agenda are considered routine and will be approved with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which case the item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately at the discretion of council. So we have consent items A and B. What would council like to do? Councilmember Rick.
Move to approve move to approve consent agenda items A and B.
Councilmember Geek.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
6 yes, motion carried.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us on to item 8, old business. Item 8A, second reading of ordinance 1812, an ordinance amending various sections within Title 17 of the Fountain Municipal Code to permit and regulate accessory dwelling units and address any resulting conflicts between existing regulations. Ms. Martinez.
Good evening, Christy Martinez with the City of Fountain Planning Department. This is the second reading of Ordinance 1812, which would amend Title 17 of zoning of the Fountain Municipal Code to address accessory dwelling units to comply with House Bill 241152, which has a deadline for municipalities to adopt regulations of June 30th. There have been no changes to the ordinance since first reading.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments from anybody up here in the council? Okay, seeing none, are there any questions or comments from anyone in the audience on this item? Do we have anyone online? Okay, gone. Okay, I'll bring it back up here to the dais. And what would council like to do with ordinance 1812? Councilmember Hersberg.
I move to approve ordinance number 1812 on second reading.
Councilmember Duncan.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further deliberation up here? Okay, seeing none, please vote.
6 yes, motion carried.
Okay, thank you very much. That takes us on to item 9A, new business. 9A, consideration of items removed from the consent agenda. There were none. Item 9B, resolution number 25-021, a resolution authorizing the City of Fountain to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the State of Colorado Department of Transportation to obtain funding for the Fountain ADA improvements along Fortman Avenue and Medicine Bow Avenue and amend the FY 2025 budget.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. I'm Abba Dvavetti, Deputy City Engineer. Chris, can we please share the slides? Oh, there you are. Okay, so I'm here this evening to request approval to the resolution for the execution of IGA, which is intergovernmental agreement between CDOT and the city we are going to start the ADA Improvements Project, which is funded through PPACG TIP funding, which stands for Transportation Improvement Program funding. And I'm also here to request for budget amendment. So talking about the funding piece, we have about 17% in local match, which amounts to about $27,484, and the federal piece is about $132,000, which is again funded by CDOT through PPACG. So the total project value comes to about $159,700. The project aims at improving the safety and walkability for the pedestrian, and the improvements will include removal and replacement of sidewalk and then bringing all the ped ramps to be ADA compliant. Next slide, please. So the scope of the project is kind of divided into two parts, and I'm sure it's kind of hard to read, but the red line, the first part of the scope includes having improvements on Fortman Avenue, starting from Fountain Mesa all the way to Medicine Bow. And then the scope also includes making improvements on Medicine Bow, starting from Fountain Mesa to Woodstock. Next slide, please. For the budget resolution, for the budget amendment, I want to give a little bit of a background. We had a cost saving through a different project, which was Carson 85, which was again CDOT funded. We received about $200,000 from CDOT, and we did expend very less of that $200,000. So we had a leftover of about $135,000, which per our city financial policy went back into the general fund. So with the budget amendment, we are seeking to use that portion that went back into the general fund to cover for the local match, which is about 17%, like I said earlier. So with that local match in place, we will be able to be compliant with the CDOT budget policies, and by executing the IGA, we can request CDOT to disperse their federal funds. So I guess I'm asking council to approve the resolution to help us execute the IGA with CDOT, and also help us approve the budget amendment. Any questions?
Okay, any questions from anybody up here? Nope. Any questions from anyone in the audience? Okay, I'm going to bring it back up here. So what would council like to do with this item? Excellent presentation explaining that very well. Thank you. Can I have my screen back so I can see who's... Thank you. Councilmember Estes?
Move to approve resolution number 25-021.
Councilmember Hertzberg?
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on resolution number 25-021. Is there any further deliberation? Councilmember Rick?
Question for the clerk. We read in the approval of the resolution. Does that include amending the budget, or do we need to add that to the motion?
No, it's included in one motion.
Okay, that's all I had. Just wanted to clear.
That's okay. This is the time to do it, right? Okay, thank you. Any further questions up here? Okay, seeing none, please vote.
Six yes, motion carried.
All right, thank you very much. That takes us on to item C, resolution 25-022.
Madam Mayor, sorry to interrupt. Madam Mayor, I also had a quick update for the
Okay.
other two projects. Indiana being now completed, we have a cost saving of about $900,000 from Indiana, which we were going to use from moving fund forward, which now is intact. And so we're going to use about $800,000 to $900,000 in cost saving for our other two big projects which are coming up, which is Jimmy Camp, Ohio, traffic signal, and quiet zone. So Ben and myself are working on those two big projects, so I just wanted to give you an update for that, but thank you.
Excellent, thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to that quiet zone and that signal. I don't know which one I'm more excited about. That'll be a great help when all this school craziness starts again. Okay, thank you. And that takes us on to item C, Resolution 25022, a resolution assigning and transferring to El Paso County, Colorado, all of the City of Fountain's 2025 private activity bond volume cap allocation from the state ceiling for private activity bonds and authorizing the execution and delivery of an assignment and other documents in connection wherewith. Ms. Bailey, there you are. Thank you.
Evening, Mayor, Council, Public. Thank you for a few minutes of your time this evening. So yes, you do have in front of you Resolution 25022, which is to transfer back our private activity bond allocation. We receive this annually. So PABs are at the federal level, they filter to the state, and then each county gets its appropriation, and that is filtered to the individual municipalities, just to understand the waterfall effect. So this year, our allotment was $1,970,777. These can only be used for site-specific projects, which qualify under affordable housing or manufacturing, is how they are used as financial tools for development in communities. Right now, we have neither project qualifiers that could utilize this funding, and so the county has requested if we would like to return it back and support a project regionally. And we would love to do that over just sending it back to the state and just not knowing where those dollars would be applied. So we have a deadline of June 24th to meet the conditions. I've outlined what the three are, which is reallocation to a project, or back to the county, or back to the state. Resolution 022 recommends sending our allocation back to the county. Any questions?
No, just again, we have no project in the area that would qualify to use those dollars.
That is exactly correct.
And if we just let them sit there, they just go back to state and they can send them wherever. And this way we try to keep them at least regionally.
Right, and just for example, if we did have a project that qualifies, now would be the time that we would bring on a bond counsel, get that working through the financial instruments of the marketplace, because that is how the bonds are issued, and there is no lead time or no project that qualifies to meet those conditions.
Okay, thank you. All righty, any questions up here from council? Any questions from anyone in the audience? I'm going to go the back row first. Please come down and state your name for the record.
Carol Rafferty. Quick question. So if we're giving all
Could you step up to the microphone, please?
If we're giving those funds back, do we have a plan for next time we're getting those, that we keep those funds, or are we always going to give those funds back?
We always have a plan of intent to utilize that funding because they are a great tool to procure development in our community, but the private sector has to come to us as well. Okay. And at this time, none of those projects qualify.
Please step down and state your name for the record.
Connie Weisenhunt. Good evening, Kimberly. I'm trying to figure out, could you explain what would be a qualifying project? Because there is a need for affordable housing in Fountain, and we have a lot of families struggling. So would like the Section 8 apartments be able to come and say, we can use some upgrades, or we need some new refrigerators, or we have a potential person interested in, building some affordable homes? Like, that's a lot of money for a need for affordable housing to just send back. Like, what would be something that says, okay, this is a project and somebody has to come to you with that?
Yes, so a lot of questions in there.
I'm sorry.
You're fine, no reason to apologize. So affordable housing is successful based on stacking of financing. right? So private activity bonds is a tool in the private sector, as well as the state provides affordable housing funds individually within certain census tract areas. So the stacking of financing helps an affordable project move forward, okay? But it is new build development or redevelopment of a brownfield site. So if as your examples were, some projects that exist in the community could use some additional resources, it cannot be applied to that. Okay, and so unfortunately, the measures of the private activity bonds, was though we would love to support revitalization of existing stock, this is not a tool that allows for it under the federal regulations.
So what budget or what kind of, like, how would somebody approach you to say, what's a qualifier for the use for this money?
So for an example, we've had a project pitched, we've had several affordable housing developers interested in our community, but the lead time does not work out for them. They also are, we don't compete just with our own region, we compete across the nation for private development to put their eggs in those coffers. And so unfortunately, the timeframes and the funding allowance is just not cyclical in that measure for private development to be successful at this point. Now, we have lots of interests, but it's just meeting those milestones to make sure that we can support private development to the best of our ability.
And Kimberly, if I could add on just one thing for you, Connie, that kind of answers your question as well. To the layman, to us, that sounds like a lot of money, but when you're looking at building an affordable apartment complex, you know, those type of things, that runs in the millions of dollars. So sometimes in the big scheme of things, as Kimberly said, it's a small piece of the puzzle, but it really doesn't determine whether a private entity is going to either do a project or be successful doing that project. They just look at it as a little add-on, but it's a very, very small piece when you look at building an apartment complex. Very
I
small.
just think it's a letdown to the Fountain community, because if you had 2 fourplexes, that's 8 more affordable homes for 8 more families. So just my opinion only.
Let me add one more thing. One thing to remember, it's not a grant. This isn't free money. It's a loan. It's really the ability to issue a low-interest loan. So that's what it is. It's not money that we can actually use. It's money that a private entity can invest in, or a public entity, obviously, to
Thank you.
provide things. Yep.
Right.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Glad to address those. I just have a closing statement, is that the Fountain, City of Fountain is participating with El Paso County on a regional housing assessment study. It's the first one ever done in the county jurisdiction. And so we should find out those findings sometime, probably spring of 2026, that will really give us a plan to work in action around.
Okay.
And I think that might help alleviate some of those early questions that you had as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's hard when we can't use them in our exact city, but the fact that it can be used regionally.
Yes.
Keeps the money here and hopefully keeps the building here. If you had something, please come down and state your name for the record, please.
Fran Carrick, I'm wondering, what does water have to do with this? Because we don't have any water. Colorado Springs didn't have any water until just 2 days ago. I heard that they planned for 100 years, and now the city of Colorado Springs is all for this, the line.
Carmen line?
Yeah, the Carmen line. So and 20 years ago, we were told here that Fountain had enough water. Planning department told us we had enough water. Don't even worry about it. But we are worried about it, and we don't have any water. So is this an issue with this also?
So
Builders?
everything that comes in that wants to build in Fountain, water's an issue right now. Everything,
Right.
whether it be residents, whether it be commercial, anything. The city of Colorado Springs is 34,000 acre feet short from what they need to currently annex, or what they've currently annexed. We, right now, have water rights to build out another 5,500 homes, but we physically need a reservoir to put the water in, and then the funding to pump it into the city. So we've got 5,500 new homes of water rights, but then we have to have somebody partner with us to be able to pay, so our current ratepayers don't fund that development, so the development pays its way. So we've got the water rights, we don't have the hard water.
But right now, within the city of Fountain limits, we have 3,500 new homes that have water that are going through the building process, 3,500. So that would be adding 35% to what we currently have houses in the city. And then we also have right now over 30 businesses coming in. So we've got a lot of things that are going on. We're a long way from not having any building going on. If we did have the water, right now we'd probably have 10 to 15,000 homes that would be currently going through our processes. So, and with Colorado Springs, the results of the Carmen Line vote on their citizens is going to come in tonight. So it's going to be allowed, it's going to be allowed, do the citizens support that or not tonight? But that's kind of where we're at currently.
It just failed by almost 82%.
Oh, it did? Well, there you
First
go.
results are out.
They didn't support it.
I don't think that's going to be a catch-up when the rest of the votes get counted.
We still got a lot of houses coming in, a lot of businesses.
You said there's 3,500. How many have they punched holes for? Do you know?
Well, we've got Aspen Ranch over by you, which is 250
Todd,
homes.
can we bring it, maybe you can talk with Mrs. Carrick online and
Sure.
let's bring it
We've
back
got
to the
about
agenda item?
500 to 600 right now.
500 to 600?
Okay, all right. And if everybody pulled permits, there isn't enough concrete workers or builders in the area to do everything that Colorado Springs and Fountain and everybody want to do. So that, it's not all going to happen in 1 year. So, all right, back to the resolution 25-022, a resolution assigning and transferring the bonds. Mr. Rick, did you have a question first?
I withdraw my question.
Okay, all righty. What would council like to do with this? Councilmember Duncan.
Recommend the motion to approve Resolution 25-022 and the assignment.
Councilmember Hersberg.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further deliberation up here? Seeing none, please vote.
6 yes, motion carried.
Okay.
Thank you.
Since we have had some citizens interested in water, Todd, why don't we have, or Scott, why don't we have Dan come back sometime in July and just kind of redo the update and kind of go over where we're at with that, so. Okay, alrighty, item 10, agenda requests. Anybody on my left? Councilmember Rick.
Scott, going along with the request to bring Dan in to brief on water, do we have our certified financial results yet? And if so, can we have Dan report out on the water fund stabilization?
We can. Are you okay if we wait until we get the ACFR completely done and the audit, because we're going to bring that in?
Yeah, if it's not done.
We'll bring it in with that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Sounds great. And then real quickly, Mayor and Council, that just reminds me of something else. Are you okay if I bring Sam Stump in, just at an early beginning of the council presentation to show people the new website? Maybe at the, okay.
Yeah,
It won't take long.
right. Okay, anybody on my right have an agenda request? Okay, alrighty, thank you very much. That takes us to an announcement of an executive session.
Mayor, the city attorney has requested a executive session this evening. So in accordance with the city charter and the Colorado Open Meetings Act, the city council open session is to determine whether it will hold a closed executive session. A closed executive session may be held upon an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the quorum present. If consent to the closed executive session is not given, the items may be discussed in open session or withdrawn from consideration. The purpose of tonight's executive session is CRS Section 24-6-4024B for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions regarding ongoing litigation.
We have a motion from our city clerk to go into executive session. Councilmember Hersberg.
Move that we go into executive session.
Alrighty, Councilmember Duncan.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Six yes, motion carried.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Executive session will begin at 7:30.